I'm Larry Menti. This week on Jersey Matters. In a minute, we will talk to a legislator who is dead set against the new minimum wage in New Jersey. Also, the Katie Brennan hearings continue and still no answers. Also, in Newark, New Jersey, a whole community wants a power plant to move out of town, and pretty soon, you'll be able to ride your bicycle to New York. But first, on Monday of this week, there was a celebration as the governor signed new legislation to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour by the year 2024. But one legislator, State Senator Declan O'Scanlon from Monmouth County, is not happy at all.
This is basic math. You increase the cost of something, you're going to have less of it. In this case, we're talking about entry-level jobs. So really, a fair examination of this massive increase in the minimum wage, there is no question that, and we've heard it directly from business owners, that there are going to be less of these jobs, one way or another.
Is massive a fair word?
I think it is, and even if it's not massive, it's the people that don't get these jobs won't get their first taste of employment, won't get the training that comes along with it. The very people that the good-hearted people, some of them who are behind this policy, are trying to help, will be hurt.
They'll be eliminated from jobs.
Look,
or the possibility of the
an
job.
$8 or $9 an hour job is better than no job, and then there's the other negative impacts as well.
We'll go through some of the other negative impacts.
Okay, so the impact on the state budget is a huge problem. We have, and this comes from our third-party providers, the people that take care of our most vulnerable, mentally ill, drug addicted, developmentally disabled. There are a ton of employees.
So the state, just to make sure I know what you're talking about, so the state's payroll goes up a little bit, but even more so the cost of doing business goes up because of the third-party providers. These
third-party providers get most of their money from the state in the form of state grants and state contracts. And they have told us, they've done the math. It's huge. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
That isn't made up by the increase in taxes for the wages going up?
Drop in the bucket. The net impact on our state budget, I bet you, is north of $500 million. The proponents of the bill say it's between $300 and $600 million. That's a hell of a wide spread. You'd think maybe they would have wanted to do that math more precisely before they enacted this policy, but the policy isn't about anything other than scoring political points and making people feel good, but that we're supposed to be the adults in the room. It isn't our job to make people feel good. It's our job to get it right, get the policy right. And this one is too much, too far, too fast.
The argument you always hear is that he campaigned on this. People voted for him. The people of New Jersey wanted this. I'm talking about Phil Murphy.
If you go out and you poll this, it may poll, but we're not direct democracy for a reason. We have representative government so that we could be a check and a balance on, on public whims. If I don't be disrespectful, but there's a lot of feel-good things that we would love to do. Look, I would love it if everybody could make $100,000 a year. That'd be wonderful. Government can't make that happen.
And if you did mandate it, it would be a disaster.
It would be. So at what point is it not? It's incrementally, it's damaging at every level. There's probably some reason, when I said this publicly, had they scaled this back and said, look, let's do some increase in the minimum wage this year and commit to revisiting every year, rather than setting this in stone. And I know the Senate President said that, if it's a problem, we can come back and revisit it.
Right, I was going to just say
it's never going to happen. To undo something like this.
If there's a huge problem, let's say there's a huge problem with the state budget, you don't believe, you're not taking the state Senate President at his word that he would then revisit this?
If we have a major recession, maybe you'll see that, but it's doubtful. Because the argument then will be, well, no, they'll go back to saying it didn't cost jobs when we know that it will. It will be, well, these people need this money more than ever now with the recession. So I doubt that there's any way to put this toothpaste back in the tube. I don't think it'll happen.
Let's talk about legalized marijuana for a second. Where's the bill right now?
The bill's stalled. They don't have the votes. The debate is ongoing. It has been a really interesting debate. It has been fascinating to listen to and to watch. But the bill is stalled. People, for various reasons, fear of the impact is certainly at the top of the list. And then there's social justice concerns from some other folks, but they don't have the votes right now.
I just read an article that you were one of the Republican votes that they were counting on. You were one of the Republican moderate votes they said that they were counting on.
And well, first off, I put myself into the realm of being a conservative.
I did too. That's why I thought it was interesting.
Look, there are conservative arguments for legalization. They don't have my vote right now, so let's be clear on that. And
could they get your vote?
They could if there's a few unanswered questions. I put on the table pretty simply, if we are going to use the money that we get from marijuana legalization to do critical things like restoration of energy receipts taxes for property taxes, drug treatment, training more police officers to be able to be drug recognition experts. If you do some of those things, they might be able to get my vote. I'm comfortable that most of the other objections have been answered, but the intent is to get this money and squander it somewhere, do other things with it. That doesn't.
How do you know it's to squander the money?
Because there is no willingness to commit to where the money will go. If you're not intending to do whatever other things you're going to do with it, why not make the commitment? Why not make the commitment to enhance our drug treatment? Why not make the commitment to lowering property taxes? They don't intend to do those things. Otherwise, it'd be an easy commitment to make. So that has me deciding that net, I'm not ready to vote for this time.
One last topic, there's the Katie Brennan hearings, the young woman who says she was raped during the campaign by another member of the campaign and they hired them both. Hearings have been going on. I think there's been 6 hearings so far, and it seems like there's a frustration that they're not getting the answers they want. Some of the most basic questions, like who hired Al Alvarez. Where does this go?
It's a problem. I mean, the governor in an hour, the governor right now could say, if he knows who hired, I mean, we know that this is a question the legislature has and the public has. The governor instantly could solve that problem. Either order his staff to tell us, or he himself could tell us, or admit that nobody knows that there was that much chaos early on in the administration. Someone should know who hired this guy. So that's a problem. That's a public trust problem that the governor hasn't said definitively to his staff. We need to level with the public and the legislature.
There seems to be reluctance by the committee to call the governor, and yet the more they can't get answers, it seems like that's inevitable.
It does. So the governor is asking for that, and look, you hesitate to call a chief executive into these types of proceedings, but if you're not going to be honest and open, I'd say that's fair game. And look, the whole episode is problematic, and the administration's contention that, well, we need better rules is sort of saying we need better rules to stop us from the bad things we ourselves are inclined to do. That's problem.
And don't admit to.
And don't admit to. Yeah, that's a problem.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you. State Senator Declan O'Scanlon in Monmouth County. We just talked about the Katie Brennan hearings. They continued this week in Trenton. Dawn Stensland-Menti has been there for every one of the hearings. Her report when Jersey Matters continues.